There's no easy way to say this, but there is a bit of a civil war happening here in Canada. But it doesn't have to do with Canadians or Canadian affairs. It's actually foreign affairs or foreign conflict that's taking place here in Canada at places of worship from those respected religious groups. And it's just getting out of control, man. So much so that pretty much every single politician in Canada is condemning these attacks because you had some, rebels that broke into a place of worship, specifically in Ontario. I believe in Brampton. We're going to be taking a look at that footage very soon. But then these types of out of control protests are also taking place in Surrey, BC, which is where, at this point, you should be aware, the Palestinian separatists, once labeled when he was alive as an Indian terrorist, Najar Singh, was residing, and that's where he got shot. So those places of worship are pretty much where people are breaking into and just full out attacking each other. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to smash the like button. Subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. You may or may not be able to tell, but my voice is absolutely shot, just getting over a cold. And so if I seem a little bit unenthusiastic, it's certainly not because of a lack of enthusiasm. It's because I'm sick. So anyways, let's get into the polls here. We're going to start off as we normally do. And it actually took an unfavorable turn. So Pierre Poilievre went down a few points, a few seats. I think he was at 219. He's now at 215 projected with a bottom line of 189, which is still well above where he needs to be for a majority government. And Justin Trudeau went up from 59 to 60. The bloc is stagnant, and Jagmeet Singh went up 1 or 2 seats to 22 projected. And then you still have 99% likely across the board for the Conservatives of winning the most seats and odds of a majority government. So that's looking good right there. And then also what's looking good is Danielle Smith's leadership review that just took place over the weekend, and it had a 91.5% support still of Danielle Smith. So let's just take a quick little recap at that.
91.5%.
An overwhelming result in support of Danielle Smith's leadership.
91%. Oh my goodness, you guys. Thank you. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
More than 4,000 party members cast a secret ballot Saturday in what's believed to be the largest political gathering in Canadian history, with the United Conservative Party drawing more than 6,000 members to its annual general meeting in Red Deer.
I think it removes any doubt in her leadership.
In her final pitch to members Saturday, Smith touted recently tabled legislation on transgender rules for youths and the revamp of Alberta's Bill of Rights, and fighting the federal government on its policies related to Alberta's oil patch and electricity grid, preaching party unity moving forward.
Together we will soundly defeat Nahad Nenshi and the NDP in 2027. United, we will not be defeated.
And Smith's messaging seems to resonate with many in the party faithful.
I think she has shown a lot of courage. She's not afraid to tackle issues that are controversial.
To me, it was looking to say, what hasn't she done? And there's nothing on that list that is substantial enough for me to do a vote no.
While the result was overwhelming, not all approve of Smith's leadership, with some feeling she hasn't done enough to address anger over pandemic restrictions.
I'm going to vote no because I don't think that she's living up to what she said she would do.
With the leadership result behind her, experts feel there will be less of a focus on policies popular with the base and a shift towards governing on campaign promises.
But I think the focus is going to shift away from those more policies that might be a bit controversial to some who aren't in the Conservative movement, and just focus on the other work that they have been doing.
Smith and the UCP will return to the legislature next week to continue with the fall session with a slate of new policy resolutions. They're non-binding, so it's unclear which will make it on the government agenda. Adam McVicker, Global News.
Right. So Danielle Smith has undergone quite a bit of controversy somewhat recently with, some of the things that she said, which is presumed to be that she wants to double immigration double Alberta's population by 5 million people within like a few years. And a lot of people, even myself, still to this day are kind of under the impression that that's through immigration, which obviously a lot of Albertans are against. You know, a lot of people in Alberta and even Canada, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, want to grow our population from the inside and only result to targeted immigration. Go back to the olden days, right? Instead of flooding the gates, essentially. But that's just my own personal opinion, and I'd absolutely love to know yours. It seems like she's kind of, gone past that criticism, and she's still prospering. So good for her. I guess I was wrong with my assumption of what she meant by that. And then you have just this clip here that's kind of getting a little viral. You have police interaction with Diwali participants, which was on Halloween in downtown Toronto. And I mean, the police just don't know how to handle this, right? They don't want to do anything that would make them seem racist, I would assume.
Did we tell you to go? Do you have the right to be here? Do you have the right to park here? No.
You have to go. You have to go. You have
I'm not your brother. Get on the sidewalk.
Come on the sidewalk. You have to go to your police station. Don't give the fucking shit on the street. What the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? You are going my taxis. My tax. We need your pay. Fuck Trudeau. Go home. Go home. Go home. Go home. Go police station. Police. Go home. Small dick. Small dick. Fuck the police. Teri mother kutta. Thank you so much.
Alrighty, so as you can tell, no amount of respect for the police, and I'll be honest here. Normally, I would be one to defend the police at least several years ago, but at this point, they've just kind of ruined their own reputation, and nobody seems to respect police like they once did. And so then you are found in situations like this where they're just being heckled by the general public, and there's no winning for the police in that instance, because if they act on it, it's going to be an abuse of power, and if they walk away like they did in that instance, then they just look like cowards. So I mean, it's just a lose-lose all around for police, but that's all my own personal opinion, and I would absolutely love to know yours. And then we got to take a look here at these out of control pro-Palestine protests, specifically this thing right here. So at the University of Guelph, for Palestine featured a bloody guillotine with images of several leaders, including Canadian leaders like Pierre, Justin Trudeau, and then you've got Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, Netanyahu. I mean, that is crazy that this is even allowed out in public, but nonetheless, that is something that happened. And then let's take a look at some of the footage of the pro-Palestine protests that took place this weekend.
You don't speak in the Jewish name. Listen to him. You don't speak in the Jewish name. You don't speak in the Jewish name.
Okay, yeah, these are getting out of control, especially when, I guess, kids are involved.
Viva, viva Gaza! Viva, viva Intifada! Viva, viva Intifada!
That is crazy. Oh my goodness, that is so young to be out there. And then you have men throwing down several Hail Hitler salutes against a large group of Jewish people at a pro-Hamas rally targeting Jewish community of Toronto at the Bathurst and Shepherd intersection. That's pretty disturbing. And I mean, I don't know if that should be allowed, but nonetheless, these are getting crazy. They're getting crazy out of control. And speaking of crazy out of control, we definitely have to address some of these comments here made by politicians. So Justin Trudeau said this on X earlier today: the acts of violence at the Hindu Sabha Mandir in Brampton today are unacceptable, and every Canadian has the right to practice their faith freely and safely. Thank you to the Peel Regional Police for swiftly responding to protect the community and investigate this incident. And then you also had, people like Jagmeet Singh that also said the exact same thing. Every Canadian must be free to visit their place of worship in peace. I unequivocally condemn the acts of violence at the Hindu location in Brampton. Violence everywhere is wrong. I join community leaders in calling for peace. And then you even had Anita Anand say the exact same thing over and over and over again. So what's this about? What are they addressing? Well, this clip right here that's probably gathered over millions of views already across X in a matter of, only half of a day. Let's take a look.
Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, ouch, ouch, oh shit, 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 oh shit. Oh man. Oh my God, they're entering the temple. They're so violent.
Wow. Yeah, as you can see, it got crazy out of hand. People got beat with sticks. They broke into a temple, a place of worship. I mean, it's insane. And that's just now, that was like where it started, and it's branching out across the country. And the same thing is happening in multiple different locations across Canada simultaneously. But as you can see here, somebody took a video of all the cop cars that are lined up at an Indian consulate event in Brampton. And just let's take a look here at this clip and the chants that they are doing. So, I mean, this is all to do with the murder, the killing of Najar Singh, who is a Khalistani separatist, which is what a lot of those yellow flags represent. And a lot of them have been deemed, if you're a Khalistani separatist, you're deemed as a terrorist by the state of India because you pose a threat to Indian democracy. And this is something that Jagmeet Singh has gone on the record of saying unequivocally he supports Khalistani separatists and their right to gather here in Canada and protest their hatred for India and cause a division between Indians living in Canada and just pretty much projecting a bunch of terrorist ideologies towards India overseas. And this is all happening here in Canada, which is crazy because I am still under the impression, I have this hope, this perfect vision that people in Canada, people would be focusing on just Canadian matters, not other foreign affairs, and then arguing and starting these conflicts and these kind of civil wars between different groups here in Canada that have nothing to do with Canada, Canadian values, or Canadians. They're arguing about stuff that is supposed to be taking place in India. And this is why India, the largest democracy in the world, has a massive bone to pick with the Canadian government, with Justin Trudeau. This is why Jagmeet Singh, part of the reason why Jagmeet Singh is banned from India is he supports this. The Indian government has asked for Canada to put an end to this and stop these Khalistani resistance from taking place and, getting up to this point to now they're breaking into places of worship. And the only thing you're going to see from the government is, simple posts on X saying, that was horrible. Anyways, moving on. And I just think that this is gross. This is absolutely gross. Justin Trudeau has brought all of these groups of people here in Canada and given them a safe space to fight it out in the octagon, which is our borders. And a lot of these fights have absolutely nothing to do with stuff here. They're not they're not a part of this country's problems. But again, that's Justin Trudeau adding more, more fuel to the fire. That's just my own personal opinion, but I'd absolutely love to know yours. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say this does not help our ongoing tensions and conflicts with India. This only makes Canada look significantly worse. And then, like I said, it's not only just happening in Brampton, but it's also, taking place across other parts of the country, such as in Surrey. I'm gonna have to mute that music, but as you can see, you've got more Khalistani protests that are taking place, and they're being met with, these massive amounts of police to kind of give them the places safely to protest. But they're also met with a lot of pro-India, Indian Canadian protesters that are not happy with this, what's deemed as a terrorist entity by the largest democracy in the world, and that would be India. And so it's just getting out of control. And then speaking about out of control, we got to take a look at this clip of this news of Justin Trudeau by CTV and what we're supposed to expect with this ongoing or upcoming week here in Canadian politics. Let's take a look.
For Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to reconsider his leadership continued this week, albeit with less enthusiasm from caucus dissenters. After 24 MPs organized to ask the Prime Minister to think about stepping down for the good of the party, and he said no way, no how, calls for a secret ballot appeared to gain steam earlier in the week, but later fizzle as it became apparent the Prime Minister wouldn't be game for that.
I mean, clearly there is a point where this has to stop, and we're trying to bring that to a head. This just can't be drip, drip, drip for the next, 3, 4, 5, 6 months.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, meanwhile, said in a radio interview on 580 CFRA this week, quote, the Liberals are morally obligated to keep Justin Trudeau. So why is Trudeau so sure he should stick around, and could he still change his mind? The Scrum is here to answer that. Stephen Marr is the author of The Prince.
And this video is going to bring up a lot of phenomenal points, such as the main point that Justin Trudeau is not accustomed to failure. If you think about it, his entire life he's been propped up and indoctrinated by the system. His father was prime minister. He's only succeeded in politics to the point where he's become prime minister. And to him, a bunch of people with flags that say F Trudeau or stickers that say Wacko Trudeau, and him be met with protesters, he's still in his narcissistic mind, even through the polls and the sheer evidence that he's going to lose 100%. He still somehow thinks that he's going to win because that's just his mind. He's been surrounded by people that have propped him up his entire life. He's been babied, he's been coddled, and he's never really had a significant amount of failure or any failure at all until, what's going to be what I assume in the next election. It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to send him into a midlife crisis.
Thinking about how to treat this segment, your name came to mind very quickly because of the great book that you wrote, sort of looking inside at the thinking of Trudeau over the years and the people around him. What is, when you think about the question of why Justin Trudeau has decided to stick around and is so sure that he should lead the party into the next election, what is the reason why, in your view?
So I'm going to prevaricate and say there's an uncharitable view and a charitable view. The charitable view would be that he, as he once said, you may recall back when he was a backbencher, feels the country in his bones. He is a fighter. He believes that he has a special role to protect and defend his vision of Canada against this leader who he despises. He believes that he is the only person who can beat him. And he has a long track record of being an underdog who comes from behind and carries the day. The uncharitable view, and I got this from a number of people who work closely with him, is that he has a narcissistic side. And that he is an attention-seeking person who needs to be in the spotlight, that he has an exaggerated sense of himself and links himself with the country in a way that's unhealthy. And he's outstaying his usefulness by staying in this role.
Yeah, those are definitely two, one charitable and one less charitable way of looking at it, Marika. Is your sense, after spending the last week talking to MPs, people who support the Prime Minister and who don't, like, what is your sense, I should say, of where the pushback on his leadership is right now?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Steve's actually capturing like the spectrum of views. And I think adding to that is another charitable view that he believes he is the person, if that can hold on to the most seats, that can keep the floor the highest, essentially. I think history shows it's very hard to predict that. Kathleen Wynne and Brian Mulroney made different decisions with similar outcomes. But, people on the Hill are concerned that, in part, the fact that he hasn't lost before means he doesn't know what losing looks like. And some of these people have lost before, and they know what it looks like. And they feel like they are heading into a repeat, for example, of the 2018 Kathleen election. They feel that the signposts of things going awry are not being watched because there is that missing sense of understanding that you don't always win, you don't always beat the odds.
That's a really, really good point. And Rob, what is your, I think Marika's point is a very salient one, that, he has this history, and Steve writes about this as well, where in 2019, in 2015 even, in 2021, he did sort of beat the odds, quote unquote, right? He relishes that underdog perspective. I think those MPs who are pushing back at this time feel like this is a lot more than just being the underdog.
Yeah, I mean, there is a whole psychological kind of backdrop to this, Vashti, for sure. And Steve's excellent book, which is $39.99 at Indigo, by the way, The Prince, it delves into the Prime Minister's life story. I mean, remember, Justin Trudeau was famous from the second he was born. His dad was the Prime Minister at the time. He's never really known failure. He's known setbacks like everyone has. And I think that's what is interesting right now. Marika mentioned Kathleen Wynne. There are 6 MPs who were in Kathleen Wynne's caucus in 2018 here at Queen's Park, and 4 of them lost their seats in that election, including 2 of the people who are pushing for the secret ballot, Yvonne Baker from Etobicoke and Helena Jasek from Unionville. So they know what it's like to lose because of an unpopular leader. It's not about the person's competence. Kathleen Wynne, it was and is a capable politician. She had won a majority in 2014, but after 4 years, people wanted to change. The Liberals had been in power here for 15 years. Federally, they've been in power for 9 years. There is a need for change, or there's a hunger for change, certainly. And I think one thing Trudeau is fortunate, though, he doesn't have any usurper waiting in the wings. It's not like with Jean Chrétien and Paul Martin was waiting in the wings, or even with Pierre Trudeau, John Turner was waiting in the wings. There's no one out there seen as the heir apparent. So if you're Mr. Trudeau, you can say, look, I am the only one who can lead us into this next election, because there's no one else, even though the 4 of us may privately think they could do better with someone else. I don't know.
Steve, we had Wayne Long, one of the MPs who at the earliest juncture spoke out against the Prime Minister's leadership on the program last week. And he flagged very early in our interview that it was his sense that the people around the Prime Minister were kind of, insulating him from what Marika talked about, the perspective that they just might lose, or that it is possible that they would lose, that it is not, just fighting any other kind of fight. You spent time with a lot of people who spend time with Justin Trudeau. What do you think about that conclusion?
Well, I think that there is a very small group. It's inevitable over time that the small group around the Prime Minister gets smaller and more insular. And we're pushing the 10-year mark here with this government. So there is a sense of, people I know who are close to those people say, well, they're the only ones now who believe that Trudeau should stay, just like the 3 or 4 people around him. It has a fin de siècle kind of feeling at the moment. And a thing I keep thinking is the next election is going to be, if Justin Trudeau is the candidate, a referendum on whether Justin Trudeau should continue being the Prime Minister. And as somebody who's watched elections for a long time, I keep thinking, is that really what the election should be about? Don't we already know the answer to that question? It seems to me the Canadians are making it pretty clear that they're ready for someone else to take over.
I think, though, that the
It's unfortunately clear, except to Justin Trudeau. Even Jagmeet Singh knows it's clear that Canadians want an election. Even the Bloc Québécois knows it's clear. Like, literally everybody knows that it's clear that Canadians want an election, except Justin Trudeau.
Prime Minister's office, the people in that office, would hope that the election is about what the Liberals will give and what the Conservatives will take away, in their view.
Yeah, their view is that once the attention of an election captures people's minds and captures more attention than politics is getting right now, where more than half of Canadians don't know that the Hill's not working right now, that will change, that will shift, and that they will give Pierre Poilievre a second look in a negative sense. You know, there is an argument. You've heard people say, for example, Chantal Hébert argues that Brian Mulroney, if he had held on, would have done better than Kim Campbell. So there is this argument of, you know, would somebody do better or not? Hard to do worse, but possible, Steve. And so the people around the Prime Minister say they know the fight they're in. They're not blind to the situation they're in, and they believe they are best placed to seize it. Other Liberals that I talk to are very concerned that they look at the 2019 or 2021 election and see that as an underdog situation, because they say Andrew Scheer and Erin O'Toole should never have even put you in an underdog place. So the fact that you were even at risk against opponents like that, Pierre Poilievre is that much more effective in his position.
Well, last word to you, Rob, but this isn't, it isn't Andrew Scheer and it isn't Erin O'Toole.
Yeah. And it also, it's been 9 years. I mean, after this long, ask Stephen Harper. He finally had to go after 9 years. He had won his biggest election in 2011. 4 years later, people were like, time to go, dude. And I think this is the same thing that you're seeing with Mr. Trudeau. And Mr. Trudeau is Mr. Harper thought that it was beneath him that someone like Trudeau could try to defeat him. And I think Mr. Trudeau feels that Mr. Poilievre is beneath him and he just can't abide by him being the next prime minister. It's going to be sobering if indeed he goes into this election as leader, and it looks like he's going to, and he loses. And what if they do have a Kim Campbell result or a Kathleen Wynne result? What will that look like the morning after? What will Mr. Trudeau, when he's staring at the mirror, wonder? Will he think, if only I'd let Melanie Joly or Dominic LeBlanc or Mark Carney take the helm, maybe we would have saved more of the furniture? I don't know.
No, he'll blame Russia. He'll blame Trump. He'll blame MAGA. I mean, Justin Trudeau is so delusional. He thinks that American politics is bleeding into Canada, and that's just not the case. Not that American politics is good or bad, just the fact is that Justin Trudeau is unfortunately unable to admit that people are fed up with the woke radical agenda that the Liberals and simultaneously the Democrats are bringing to the table in America, which is why people are going to be voting in excess for Trump and in excess for Pierre Poilievre, because they're so fed up with the left. They're so fed up with the lies, the gaslighting, and the manipulation. But of course, that is my own personal opinion, and I would absolutely love to know yours. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the video. If you haven't yet already, I'd like to encourage you guys to smash the like button and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.